An additional student and graduate faculty member have symptoms consistent with mumps. This was confirmed in an email last night from Vice President for Student Life, John Dooley.
Dooley alerted campus on Tuesday of the first diagnosed case of the mumps on campus. Brian Ray is live in studio with more.
This morning, the Alamance County Health Department is offering an additional dose of the mumps vaccination to students who may have been exposed to the affected student. ELN does require incoming students to have the mumps vaccine, also known as the MMR booster, but the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the vaccine only has an 88% reduction of risk. The vaccine is given in a series of 2, but the third dose is being offered as a precaution. According to the CDC, signs suggestive of mumps include puffy cheeks and a swollen jaw, but can also include fever, headache, and tiredness. Symptoms can take 2 to 4 weeks to develop. Dooley says 814 students and 52 faculty and staff have been notified that they may have been in contact with the affected student.
ELN sophomore Sammy Herbert thought she was one of the 814 students contacted that may have been exposed to mumps.
A few minutes later, they recalled that email and said they had accidentally sent me it, and I actually wasn't.
At first,
So I was like, oh my God, what the heck?
now Herbert says she's relieved the email was an error, but she's still concerned.
There's always a risk, but definitely now that there's a kid with something as serious as mumps, like, it is a bit uncomfortable.
But other students, like sophomore Brooks Lacoste, think it's not that serious.
I think people don't really need to be freaking out about this. I think it's completely normal what's happening. You know, just, it's like the flu going around.
Lacoste is one of the students who was notified about possible contact. A biochemistry major, he thinks people don't understand what mumps is.
This is a lot scarier of a word because people associate it with measles, and people confuse measles and smallpox. But the mumps, I don't think, is as dangerous as people are making it out to be.
Still, Lacoste says he'll get the third vaccination just to be safe. Brian Ray, ELN Morning.
The Raleigh News and Observer reports that this is the 8th confirmed case of mumps on a college campus in the Carolinas this week. Stay updated on this story on our website, elonnewsnetwork.com. Baylor and Amanda, back to you.
Thanks, Brian. And we are now joined live by Dr. Jeanette Archinall, Medical Director of ELN Health Services, to tell us more about the infection. Dr. Archinall, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So can you tell us a little bit about how does the mumps spread and how can we prevent it?
Well, as always, vaccination is the best way to prevent, although, as Brian just said, unfortunately, like most vaccines, the MMR is not 100% protective. Mumps is spread by what we call droplet spread. You've probably heard me talk about how not to catch mono, strep, flu, everything else. That's all droplet spread. With mumps, the contagious perimeter is about 3 feet or thereabouts. So if people really want to protect themselves, all the things we always say for everything else: don't share drinks, don't share vaping devices, don't use chapstick.
And so if you live with one of these students who got the email that says they've come in contact with him, should you be concerned about that?
The only people who should be in the least bit concerned are the people who were offered the booster dose. Being in contact with somebody who was in contact or potentially in contact with is not a risk.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you again.